Hey guys, we're live. How you guys doing? All right. So I'll wait for a few people to get on and then we'll jump into the subject of the day, which is this right here. 10 awesome Python 3.9 features. This is from Towards Data Science. I'm going to attribute the author so that he has, his name is Farhad Malik. So the latest Python 3.9 final version is out as of Monday, 2020, 10:05. So we'll read through this, we'll skim through the article, make my comments, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So I hope everybody's good. I'm good. I'm doing pretty good. Ooh, let me get this down here. Good vibes, good vibes. Hello, New York, Paris. Very cool. I hope everybody is well. I'm going to wait for a few more people to get on before I jump into it. So if you have any questions, I assume that you guys can all hear me pretty clearly. Yay, finally on time for a live stream. Yeah, I'm all over the place with my timing on this stuff. Salutations, New Jersey. Salutations. I hope everybody's well. All right, how are we doing here? 28's not bad. I did a live stream, I think it was last night. I started at like close to midnight. I was surprised. At one point we had almost 200 people on at the same time. Yeah, I have a slew of articles that I've been saving and stuff I was meaning to write myself. So I figured, we'll do what we gotta do. All right, bonjour, Mr. Techie. Hello from Philadelphia, New Jersey, South Africa. Bonsoir, comment ça va? New Jersey, watching while walking to ShopRite supermarket. Cool. Romania, the Big Apple. Hello, Glenn, I recognize you and others. Sunrise, Florida, waiting code front anxiously. Yeah, code front. Code is all relative. Code is all, what is code, C-O-L-D, is relative. How are we doing for people? So we get about 75, I'll jump into the Python piece, which will be interesting, I think, for most people. 10 awesome Python features. This piece I did not write, but we'll read it together and we'll see what he has to say, and then we'll do a little Q&A. From Mexico. Hello, Carlsbro. Why are you not sleeping? It's 1 a.m. Why are you not sleeping? Okay, he's talking to this guy here. California. Hope you will set up a Big Cut wallet for donations. Yeah, I gotta set. You know did I ever own crypto? Forget now. Iceland. All right, so happy birthday, Jay-Z, if I understand that correctly. JC, excuse me. 49. When we get to 75, I'll jump into the piece, and then we'll take it. Hello, Richard, how are you? I hope everything is well. This is the piece, if you're just wondering. 10 awesome Python features, a piece, an article from Towards Data Science. We'll see how it goes. I have not read this, so we'll be doing this together, and we'll see see if it's any good. Hello from Egypt. All right, how are we doing now? We're almost at 75. When we get to 75, 3 a.m. here. Wow, there you go. Walter, where are you now? 3 a.m. there. You're somewhere in the Europe, I would guess. Good evening to you, sir. Good evening. All right. How are we doing? 62. Almost there. So when I hit 75, we'll get into the article. And we'll see what he has to say. England, very cool. Yeah. 66. Almost there. You know what? I'm going to just start it up, and then we'll get to the Q&A afterwards. So let's go. All right. 10 awesome Python features. And okay, the latest Python 3.9 final version is out. So it's out in October 5th. Just like most Python fans, I'm super excited to explore the use of the latest features. This article will provide an overview of must-known features. So let's just jump through this guy's piece here. So he read through the Python 3.9 notes, associated discussions. Based on the information, I want to write comprehensive guides so everyone can get a glimpse of the features along with their detailed workings. Well, we won't go into every single detail. I'll link to his article so that you guys can check it out. So this guy's excited about 3.9 in a nutshell. From the dictionary update merge to addition of new string methods, strings, in case you're a beginner, is just text, to the introduction of zone info library, a number of new features have been added. Furthermore, a stable and high-performant parser has been introduced. The standard library is updated with numerous new features along with addition of new modules. Zone info and graphlib. A number of modules have been improved too, such as AST, async IO, concurrent features, multiprocessing XML, and others. Okay, so just in case you don't know, a module in Python is just like external class, I guess. It's basically an extra additional functionality added to Python. And you can just import it with a simple bit of code that says import. Anyway, so what we got in there? Dictionary update and merge. So a dictionary is just a type of array. 2 new operators, pipes. Okay, so basically they got new operators here, just new ways, quicker ways to get certain things done. So to merge 2 dictionaries and a way to quickly update it. So it's just a syntax sugar, if you will. It's a way to simplify the process. That's good. Detailed explanation. We can see the above 2 options. The pipe operator, pipe equal operator have been added to the built-in dictionary class. The pipe operator is used to merge dictionaries, whereas the pipe equal operator can be used to update the dictionaries. Okay, so that's cool. So updated syntax and capabilities so that you can more quickly get common operations done. That's cool. What else do we have here? Lastly, the collections library contains a chain map function. It can take in 2 dictionaries such as chain map, first dict, second dict, and return a merged dictionary. But again, this library is not commonly known. Well, that's cool. So again, shortcut stuff, it's always good to have. So you can go to the PEP 8. Like if you do my Python course, I talk about, I mentioned the PEP docs and the standard practices docs. Once you understand the basics of the language, you can just go to python.org and dial in all the information you want. So let's try that. Python.org. There we go, python.org. Let me zoom out of this a little bit so I can see what's going on here. All right. So what's going on? Downloads, docs, here we go. Python, release Canada 3.91. So let's go to 3.9 stable. And there it is, right? You got your tutorial. It shows you what's going on. Just click on whatever it is. You got your examples here. See, this is all, you know, if you're new to Python, this is going to be difficult. But if you've done, again, you do the foundations Python training, then all of a sudden, it's all here for you, right? It's pretty easy to follow along once you know the language. So they even have what's new, right? A summary of what's new. It's all here for you. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, so let's just go back to this guy's article here. Did you see that, guys? Oh no. I hope you saw that. Let me try that again. Make sure you saw all that. Did you guys see all that? That's a good question. Let me answer that question before I go on. What is the difference between an interpreter and a compiler running Python code? Well, the Python interpreter, Python code is not compiled. Compiled code is kind of pre-processed code that's crunched up and transformed into a more efficient form so it runs faster. And when you compile it, in certain languages compile and certain languages don't. When the languages compile, they process it, they pre-process it before it actually runs. And in the process of pre-processing the code, it makes it more efficient, and it also checks for errors, so it's safer in that regards. With an An interpreted language like Python, like JavaScript, like PHP, like Ruby, they do not compile. They are just run, boom, and errors come out as it runs. There's pros and cons to both approaches in terms of the languages. It depends on what you're doing. Anyway, so that's that short answer there. So let me go back to this thing here. Just in case you guys missed this. So if you go to python.org, you have all the docs and you got all the information for you here, right? So if I just go back, I'm making sure everybody saw this. So you got even a tutorial, what's new, if you know what you're doing with Python. And it gives you a nice summary of what's new, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So everything's, just so you guys know, right here, python.org. You go to docs, that's it. All right, so let's just go back to this thing here. All right, so what else does he have? Number 2, flexible high-performance peg-based parser. Python 3.9 is proposing to replace the current LL1-based parser with a new peg-based parser, which is high-performant and stable. Okay, so the current Python, CPython parser is LL1-based. Subsequent to the grammar, okay, I don't want to bore you with all the tech details because I'll link to all this. So basically, they're looking to improve performance with the parser. That's good. So we'll continue down. Feature new string functions to remove prefix and suffix. Again, these are just some more code sugar, if you will, to make it a little bit easier to do column things. So here it is, string.prefix, new functions, and they show what you do. So here's the prefix, here's the string, you say just remove farhad, and it results in just Python. So it just takes away this very simply. And of course in this one, because it's suffix, it takes away this, this, and this is good for string parsing. Python's used a lot in data scraping and stuff, so I guess it's just a convenience function they put in there. We won't need detailed explanation. Type hinting for built-in generic types. Annotating programs have been made simpler with this release by removing parallel type hierarchy in Python. The release has enabled support for generic syntax in all standard collections currently available in the typing module. We can use the list and dict built-in collection types as generic types instead of using the type list, typing.list or typing.list signature functions. Okay, again, there's more refinements, detailed explanation. Okay, bang. I'll let you read that because I don't want to. Feature support for IANA time zone in datetime. Okay, module zone info. A module is just like how should I describe it? It's an extra non-core aspect of Python that you can arbitrarily import into your programs if you feel you need them. Why do they do that? They want to keep Python as light as possible so it runs fast. If they loaded everything that Python included, it would never run. It would be just too big. So anyway, so they just expanded time zone support with the new Python. So I guess you're doing certain types of internationalization, international programming, that would become in handy. Okay, we'll skip that. Again, I will link to this so you can look it up, although you can see the URL right here at the top. We use a datetime library to create a datetime object and specify its time zone by setting this tzinfo property. I'm sure that's what he meant by that. However, we can end up creating complex time zone rules when using datetimezone.tz. Okay, so that's cool. So again, expanded functionality there for date. One of the headaches in software development is handling dates and time. That it can be problematic and just a headache. So that's good. Feature ability to cancel concurrent futures. In all honesty, I'm not sure what this is. The new parameter cancel_future has been added to the concurrent futures executor shutdown. So I guess this is a prior to 3.9, the process will wait for it until complete before shutting down the executor. Okay, so you can cancel something that doesn't need to be done. This will help with overall execution speed of Python. So a little speed boost, I would guess. All right, let's go on. Async I/O and multi-processing improvements. A number of improvements have been made to async I/O and multi-processing library in this release. I won't go into the code. So some enhancements just to help with its speed, which is good. Consistent package import errors. The main issue with importing Python libraries prior to 3.9 release was inconsistent behavior in Python when relative import went past its top level package. Okay, so they're fixing and making it easier to code. Random byte generations. Oh, it's going on. How long is this article? Okay, we're getting there. Feature, string replace function fix. Okay, replace the bug. I won't get into the details. Let's keep going. I'm not going to read through the details because they're all there. Like, you just go to python.org. You can find all these details. I'm just making, just trying to highlight stuff for you. I guess that's it. There you go, nice and short. I'm trying to keep these under, okay, 15 minutes. Okay, we're good. So we got a lot done. Cool. Let's see if we got any questions and see what's up. Let's see what we got. How to start in database administration. Well, first of all, you got to learn how to create databases, and you have to pick your database server because different types of databases are Oracle is very different from MSUS. Oracle is very different from MS SQL, which is very different from Postgre, which is very different from Mongo. So you start with the basics though, and I would probably start with a relational database. Good evening, how are you? Why isn't your channel verified yet? I think it's verified. What do you mean it's verified? I got nearly 200,000 subs. It seems pretty verified to me. Hi, wondering what exactly is the mentoring program? How could one benefit from it? The mentoring program is my most complete program. People asked me for a long time to set up like boot camps. Some people are suggesting that I set like a boot camp week or something. So what the mentoring program is, in a nutshell, is the most comprehensive developer program, training program you're going to find out there. So you have access to all the courses, all the certifications, plus exclusive content. You have access to a private group, a discussion group. I do bi-weekly Zoom meetings, option for private consultation. It covers a whole lot of stuff, everything that has to do with coding and certification, but a bunch of other stuff as well. There's going to be new material on there on the Lizard Wizard course and training is going to be included in there. How to land jobs, et cetera, et cetera. It's really a complete program from total beginner to getting a job to investing, saving your money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's very comprehensive. It's the most comprehensive package I have ever put out by far. It's you have both all the content and exclusive content, and you also have the support and the community that comes with that. That's what the mentoring program is about. Mentioning Python a lot recently. Yeah. I feel they did that as one-time thing to expand, hopefully. We shall see. Is a switch to Python 3 to 4 going to be as wacky as Python 2 to 3? I don't know. In all honesty, I don't know. I would have to check into that. Hey, Stef, any advice on how to deal with social anxiety? Do I need a video call? Do I need to video call clients? Do I really need to video call? Oh, okay. That's it. I'm going to be addressing that in my Lizard Wizard course. That's all up here. It's all about your lizard programming. You got two parts of your brain. You got the lizard brain and you got the logical brain. Anxieties, emotions, all that kind of stuff is controlled by your lizard brain. You have one brain, but you have two operating systems like Mac OS and iOS, or Windows and Linux. And most people are not aware of that, and most people don't know the rules of their operating systems. So social anxiety is directly related to your lizard operating system, the lizard brain. And so I will be addressing that. There's ways to get rid of that. Do you need to call your clients? Not necessarily. typically if you're freelancing, they may want to see you once and then maybe twice. And then that's once they get to know you and they're comfortable with you, then you don't have to. Then you'll see them once in every blue moon. But there's ways to deal with that social anxiety, Jan. It can be rectified. Paycheck coming in 10 days. Please tweet the coupon code until it will. The coupon code is here until January. So, can Python run on Samsung tablets? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't have a Samsung tablet. I transitioned from healthcare medicine and am soon in a few weeks graduating with a master's in computer science. Congratulations. Good stuff. But have no work experience in the field. How do you recommend getting work in data science? Well, since you already have you got your master's and you got a background in healthcare medicine, I don't see it's going to be a major challenge for you. What I tell people to do is you put up a really nice looking website, kind of your online resume. Make sure it looks good and it contains the information that your prospective employer would want to see. Make sure you put that to the fore. Don't mention at the top that you like to play soccer or Apex. And then if you can't, you got degrees, so that should open a lot of doors pretty quickly. For people who don't have degrees, what I recommend is you do a couple of freelance gigs you can maybe do for free. Maybe you could do something for a nonprofit, etc., for a small business. You want to develop some street cred with real life projects. The most credible thing you can have is live projects, that you can show. Look at my experience. So that's my in a nutshell. There's a little bit more you could do, but that's pretty good. Whereabouts in New York are you the city? Whereabouts in New York are you the city? I'm not in New York. I'm in Montreal, Canada, north of New York. Hello from Portugal. Good evening. Good evening to you. Hey, Stefan, have you ever worked at a FANG? No, I never worked at a FANG. The biggest companies I ever worked for, and it was only on a contract basis, is I worked for Big Pharma. I did educational software, strangely enough. I think it was Avantis and I think it was Pfizer. Long time ago. And I did these contracts that lasted, months. And I developed software for them. Unfortunately, both my operating systems seem to be Windows 95. I hear ya. Still waiting for her 170th birthday. It's coming up soon, unfortunately. We'll have to have a big party. I'm not going to tell you when, but maybe I'll do a week in advance. We'll have a special... I'm hitting a big milestone birthday soon. I'm going to be... all my hair is going to turn white very soon. I have a Samsung tablet. I downloaded Python 3 from Google Play. Works great. So there you go. Thanks for answering Madame Zorbaz from Toronto. Cool. So there you go. Yeah, I should have said, you know what? I should have known that it's Android. Yeah, my bad. All right, so answer some more questions. Is there a big difference between a web developer and software engineer? I'm sure the software engineers would argue that. The software engineer is a broader field, if you will, a broader scope of knowledge. Web developers of specialization. So a software engineer can be a web developer. A web developer is a web developer. So think of software engineers like saying musician, and web developers like saying guitarist or drummer, if that makes any sense. Hello from Portland, Oregon. Thanks for the Python course. Hey, glad. Taylor, I assume that means you like it. That's good. I'm happy about that. Thanks for picking it up, by the way. Have trouble memorizing code. Any tips? Do you use some software like Anki for learning new stuff? To engage your memory, what you got to do is you got to expose it to whatever it is you want to remember as much as possible. So frequency. So even if you did 20 minutes or 30 minutes a day of coding and writing the code, write the code, you will learn much more quickly and you'll remember. But don't worry about remembering code and syntax. That's why nerds invented code editors that will do the code completion for you, okay? Do you recommend a master's in IT studies? Ooh, meh. I don't know if a master's is going to make much of a difference in terms of getting a job. Depends what your goals are. I've been hearing the China military have been sneaking into Canada. Have you seen any of this happening in your area? Yeah, well, they're sneaking all over the place, apparently. So the West is finally waking up to that. What exactly will I learn in your freelance course? You will learn how to get clients, how to manage a project. The freelance course is as much about the freelance business as it is about managing projects, software projects. It comes with 5 templates. You learn how to track your time. You learn how to deal with clients, how to manage clients, how to build them properly. It's pretty comprehensive. It's all in there for you. I've had several people tell me just the time tracking template and how that's all set up, it's on a spreadsheet, will teach you a lot. You'll see, like, that's how you do it. There is a process. I'll just say one thing. When it comes to freelancing, a big part of the job is managing the client. Managing the client. The success or failure of the job oftentimes will come down to not the code, but the management of your clients. That's very important. That's why in my mentoring program, I am bringing in some very advanced psychology training and communications training. Very important. Whether you are getting a job and you're going to have to deal with your boss or your coworkers, whether you're freelancing and you're dealing with your clients, or whether you're starting a business. I tell people this all the time. Once you have your fundamentals in code and development, it's much better. You're much better off to learn good communication skills than to learn another library. That would take you far, far ahead. All right. I hope that answers. MacBook or Windows? I have both. For me, generally speaking, these days I prefer Mac simply because it's a Unix-based operating system. Mac OS really is, and I just find it to be more stable. I may have to reboot once a year on my Mac. Is AI too hyped? No. It's you see it, like it's even in this camera I'm using here, it can do this. Is it going to work? There we go. See that autofocus? That's AI. Boom. So it's even in cameras, you're seeing autofocus. Even in cameras, video cameras, you're seeing AI being implemented. So you see it's moving out there, and I have a couple of friends who use AI in their businesses. One friend, his core business is the AI. And another friend of mine, his business, they use AI to supplement the main business. So AI is, you can't go wrong doing that. If it's the type of work you like to do, try it out, see if you like it, because it's particular. Web development is very different from AI development. Front-end web is very different from back-end web. They're all good opportunities. You just got to pick what aligns with what you like to do. Looking to transition from business analyst to developer and thinking Python. Any tips? Yeah, just start with the beginning. I put a link in this video, 50% off Python with certification, 50% off. People know I don't put these type of huge coupons very often. So try it out. Just see, it's good. You got a background as a business analyst, and so that will help you out. That will make you a pretty valuable developer because you can combine both skill sets. Python's a good language to start with. Yeah, you can use it in all kinds of different environments. Hi from Norway. Do you accept personal mentoring? Well, I do have a mentoring program. If you see the link below, I'm about to expand that quite a bit. It was a pilot project I launched about 7 months ago, I guess it is now. And it's been people like it a lot, and I'm about to do a major expansion. I enjoy it a lot. So you have the private group that you join and some custom content, and you have access to all my course material, all my certification material, bi-weekly Zoom meetings that are private, and there'll be more. So yeah, that's there for you, and people really love it, so I'm pretty happy about it too. It's kind of fun. In your FU Money video, you refer to keep some money aside. Yes. Do you personally put any of this FU money in anything that's not fiat, dollars, pounds, like gold, Bitcoin? No, because I want the the cash readily available and not in a volatile asset where I won't want to sell it. Now, fiat there's some volatility there, but it ain't nothing compared to gold or Bitcoin. So you just, a year worth, 6 months worth, I went crazy once. I had like a decade worth but it was like all this money was sitting there stagnant. I reduced it down to like a year. Yeah, it has to be in fiat because it just needs to be accessible. You could put it into a more stable fiat, perhaps. Maybe some currency that's more stable, but you just need to be able to access that resource, that cash, very quickly. If you feel safe keeping it in gold, fine. Bitcoin, again, very volatile. It's very high now, but as we saw just a few years ago, it could lose 80% of its value in months, right? I'm not saying it will. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a Bitcoin crystal ball. But you want something just kind of stable so you can cash out if you need to. Ideally, you never touch your FU money. How much is your freelance course? I don't know, it's $20 US, something like that. Just go to the Studio Web store and you'll see it there. It's not expensive. The templates are worth the money alone. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Tyler. So there you go. He obviously has my freelance course. What are your views on competitive programming? Kind of gimmicky. Why don't you just, instead of, if you want to get good at programming, do your fundamentals, then go out there and start building things for people. Like I said, report to a nonprofit, a small business. That's going to be worth much more. What are the good reasons for freelance to go for a startup with other people involved? Thanks for advice. Bye from Italy. That's a good question. When you're freelancing, right, you're building software and sites for other people. That's fine. The advantage of that is that it's a lot easier to make money, right? Because you're making money right away, essentially. Whereas, that's it. Whereas if you start a startup, then that could take a long time before you start making money, depending. And if you have partners, then you have to deal with partners. And then if you have to get investors, you got to deal with investors. Ultimately, the startup has a much greater potential. Freelancer is kind of steady money, and it could be very big money if you set up good workflows and so forth. Much more than the average person, multiples. But, and you could, that's what I did. Like, I freelanced, I made cash, and then I started financing my own little startups, bootstrapping. I never got outside investors. It's a personality thing. It depends. You got to try it out, see what you prefer, What else we got? Hello from Chile. Python currently has a good object-oriented libraries, or is it non-existent? Oh yeah, it's object-oriented. No question about it. In fact, in my Python course, I have a whole chapter on object-oriented Python. My first day joining your talk show. I'm new in Python. What can I do to get better in coding? From New Jersey? Thank you. Write code, man. Just write code. I talk about this in other videos. When I used to box, I was in an MMA gym. I didn't do the MMA, but I did the boxing, did some Muay Thai. And I was in one of the MMA gyms that George St. Pierre trained in. Anyway, and sparred with him a couple of times in boxing. Anyhow, there's a group of people I call the pad hitters. You got guys, trainers, they hold pads and they hit the pad. And you got these pad hitters, and they would just hit pad. They would never jump in the ring to spar, or they'd wait a long time. So the pad hitters, some of these guys and girls could look amazing. They go boom, 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 boom. And they thought they were really good because they were fantastic at hitting the pads. And I know a few times at least, I remember some of these maniac pad hitters would jump in the ring. They thought they were really good, but they had never fought before or sparred. And then they had a rude awakening about what it was really like to actually fight. And they discovered that all their pad hitting for a year or 2 years or longer sometimes didn't really help too much when it came to actual combat. There's a lot more combat than hitting pads. Same thing with software development. You have to just, at one point, just get in the ring, and just start writing code for real projects, because you're going to see all the tutorials and all the competitive programming are kind of like hitting the pads. So that's why in my mentoring program, I say get the fundamentals done and then go out there and do some freelance projects fast as possible, because that's how you're going to learn. That's how everybody learns. You know, it's like when I used to teach people how to fight, and I used to say, one sparring session is probably worth 3 to 6 months of training in the gym without sparring. Just one sparring session, 15 minutes of sparring, probably worth 3 to 6 months of training in the gym. One street fight is worth 6 months to a year of training in a school. So I don't recommend street fighting. I used to be a bouncer, but I do recommend sparring as quickly as possible. And the same thing with coding. I recommend that you jump in there as soon as you got your fundamentals, and you got to take that leap of faith. You have to understand, and what people don't get, as developers, you're not going to go in there knowing everything. There's no developer in the world who knows more than maybe 1 or 2% of what's out there, if that much. And that's okay, because your job as a developer is to actually learn on the go. You're constantly learning on the go, especially in the first 3 years or so. So that's fine. I hope that helps. Are Python and Go C related languages? Well, Python doesn't look like C at all. I know they use C to build Python. I would have to look at Go. It's been a while. What is your favorite kind of coffee? Maybe we can buy you coffee online. I appreciate that. I just got this big bag of coffee from Costco, and I put it in the brew machine. It's very, very good. I get the cold brews. I'm getting into hazelnut flavored coffees these days. I appreciate it. Thanks. This may have been asked before, but when programming in Python, are you using VSC or Sublime or, use whatever you want, it's up to you. I think I would use an IDE. I'd be more towards an IDE. Visual Studio Code could be cool. PyCharm might be cool. That's JetBrains. I haven't used it, but I just trust JetBrains. But whatever works for you, man. It's like saying, what do you prefer? You prefer Audi, BMW, Porsche, Toyota? It's up to you. It depends what your needs are, Is jQuery still relevant? Barely. I put that in a Need2Nerd category. See, there's 2 categories when it comes to technology. The core that you have to learn, which is a very small subset, base languages and concepts. And then you have all these technologies like jQuery and Bootstrap, and I call those Need2Nerd technologies. You learn them if something comes up. Would I be out there trying to learn jQuery? No, only if it comes up. Only if it comes up, It used to be much more popular, but it's kind of lost its mojo in a big way. Do you have a template form when you prepare tax from your income from your freelance course? No, because tax preparation is specific to wherever you happen to live. Even in Canada, from province to province, I live in the province of Quebec, which is like a state. The tax rules are a little different here than it is in Ontario. But I give you principles that you work off of. Any basic bookkeeper, not even an accountant, in your country where you happen to live will tell you what you have to do in that regard. But I give you the basic structure, okay? Is there opportunity to get an internship as DevOps in quite big company in my city? It's worth it to stick out, to start working in IT or as DevOps. Well, I don't know where you happen to live. I don't think, maybe if you have some training or something and you say, listen, I want to do DevOps, go out, knock on some doors in some companies. Is it worth to start in IT as a DevOps? Depends what you want to do with DevOps, right? Depends if you want to be a developer or DevOps guy. If you're a DevOps guy, that basically means you're looking to get a job working for somebody, and that means it's probably a medium to large company. Whereas developer, you have a whole range of options: small, medium, startups, big companies, small companies, do your own thing, more flexibility. But if you like DevOps, then do DevOps. But I'm just getting a little bit anxious when talking in English because sometimes I can't explain myself correctly. Yeah, that's okay. Just practice it. That's all. That's okay. Just practice it. What you do, most people are very reasonable. So you might say to your client something like, you know, I can easily, from a technology point of view, I can build your project. Don't worry about that. But sometimes in English, there's a few words that I forget. So my apologies. But don't worry. In terms of the coding, it's not a problem. And you say something like that, they'll go, okay, that's cool. That makes sense, you know. Yeah, okay. Pretty cool autofocus in your camera. Didn't know it was AI. I always learn stuff from Stefan. Yeah, all the modern, I don't know about all, but many of the modern cameras from Sony and Canon, and they use AI to track faces and not track faces, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of, I guess it's machine learning. Yeah, it is pretty cool, right? So I can show you important things like this lens cap. Boom. I gotta cover my face. There we go. See what happens? If I go like this, it's the camera is set to prioritize my face. So the AI is looking for my face, looking for my eyes, lips, nose. So it's going to prioritize that. But as soon as I go like this, it can't see my face. Still looking for my face. And it's not perfect. Okay, there goes my experiment. Oh well. See, now it's all confused. There we go. Got it. Not perfect, but it prioritizes my, and it's the setting of my camera. I could say prioritize a face, or I can say, I can pick a spot in the middle of the screen here, and whatever's there, it will focus on, right? There we go. And it seems to be better with the hand. Yeah. There you go. So not bad, not bad. And there are other cameras that are better than this in terms of, it depends on the, you know, the processor and so on. All right. All right, see what we got here. Do you think AI could turn the human race into a slave credit system where we lose our freedoms? Too late! Do you think it's a good investment to learn Python as a game dev just in case the business fails? So you're working as a game dev, I assume, I don't know, what are you writing? Could be writing C++, could be writing JavaScript, could be writing Python. In terms of jobs, the biggest opportunity, of course, is web dev. So if you're on the side, you feel like it, you know. Vincenzo, hello Stefan, this is Vince from Italy. Hello, how are you? Yeah, I was dealing with a saleswoman at a marble shop earlier this week, and I made a comment, and she's from Italy. She's originally from Italy. She lives in Canada now. And I got her so exasperated with my comment. She said, "Mamma mia, what are you saying, Stefan?" So anyway. Have you ever watched Ex Machina? Any thoughts? Yeah, I did. That's cool. I like the videography. I like the mood of the movie. You know, it's kind of Hollywoodish, you know, in terms of the billionaire and how he acted, and it's kind of silly, you know. But it was good. It was a good movie. I like it. How would you go from your Python course to getting your first Python job? Do the Python course. And then you go out there and you do a couple of freebie stagiaire type of Python projects. Something might take you a week or so to do, or maybe a few days. And you do it for free so that you develop a portfolio. That's it. You got to have a portfolio site as well. Let's see. I'm a super duper newbie, so learning more from Q&A than from the article. Ah, okay. That's good. That's why we do both. How are we doing for time? Okay, I'm going to be wrapping this up pretty good. Pretty soon. A from Jamaica. Would you recommend Python for real-time fintech apps or C++ better? Whoa. I would have to look at the specifics, but it depends how important speed is, right? Python is not very fast at runtime, but it might be plenty fast given your requirements. I don't know. You might... I would back into C++ only if I really need high performant code, because it takes a lot longer to get anything done in C++. I don't know if that helps, but that's how I would look at it. Any thoughts about VR development? Niche, very niche, very niche. What do you think about Python Kiwi for mobile development? I don't know. I have not used it. I don't think it has much traction, though. Before I would look at that, I would just look at doing PWAs, which is progressive web apps, which is using the web stack, JavaScript, HTML, CSS as the basis for your mobile development. What is fast or do Flutter? What is faster for web dev? Excuse me, what is faster for web dev? Is better to learn Python and Django or PHP, JS? Generally speaking, I would say PHP and JS. I love C++ programming. I love programming in C++, but then turned into Python because I think it's easier in developing applications faster. Of course, 100%. 100%. You use C++ when you have to write very performant code, very fast running code. Other than that, you want to use a higher level language like a Python or a JavaScript, etc. I tried Freelance and I couldn't afford anything. I quit it. Yeah, well, Freelance, it could take a little while, and it takes some communication skills and to get it going. But once you get it going, then you're rolling. But it's harder at first. There's no question. You have to work it. Really, nobody wanted to pay good money for the work. Again, that's the question of managing the client and managing the projects properly. I want to take your courses. Which order do you recommend them? It depends what your end goals are, but they all kind of work in unison together in a sense. So you can start with the web stack, HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript. Then you could do the PHP, SQL. There's one package, the web developer package for that. Or you can start with the Python. What I recommend is, like in the mentoring group, I have people do all six. The 6 languages I teach, 6 coding languages. So HTML, CSS, HTML5, CSS3. Then I say JavaScript. And then from there, you have choices. You can go jump into Python, and then you can go back, you go into PHP, and then SQL for databases. Once you've learned those 3 programming languages, there's overlap, but I use the languages to teach different concepts. And what people were saying is that, for example, after having finished the JavaScript course, they went to Python, and by doing the Python, all of a sudden, it made JavaScript even more clear because you're comparing and contrasting. So it's up to you. You can start with the web stack. Learn the basic technology and proceed to frameworks. I would learn the basic technology, maybe learn one framework, and then jump into the game. I was going to stay in the dorms for summer here, all right? I don't learn too much because you'll get overwhelmed one day and feel tired. Yeah, you got to do. You gotta pace yourself with all this type of stuff. All right, we're almost at 15 minutes. And in what order would be better? If you're doing web stack, you start with HTML, then you do CSS, then you do JavaScript. But if you buy the web developer package or Studio Web, it's all presented to you in proper order. It's not just a bunch of videos. It's videos, it's quizzing, it's interactivity, gamified. It provides an implied order for you. It's just easy to follow along. That's the whole point about it. What programming concepts should every programmer know? Things like OOP, parallel processing, mutex control. The basic constructs of the language, separation of concerns, simplicity of code, OOP, a little bit of procedural programming maybe off the top of my head. Of course, you're better when you start with the basics like JS or Java, then you go into Spring, Angular, etc. Of course, you have to. The biggest mistake people make is trying to jump into straight into a framework like a Spring or an Angular. You need the basics. It's like trying to jump in the ring with Conor McGregor, having never trained before. That's not going to be a good situation for you, As a computer science student, how can I become a software engineer at Amazon and Microsoft? You got to be the best in your class. That's what you got to do. You got to be the best in your class, which means writes lots of code. It's fine as long as It's fine as long as it's needed in your area. Yeah, pretty much. How we doing, boy? How we doing, boy? It's good, good, good. Never freelanced before. Do you recommend a platform? I can't recommend one off the top of my head. I don't freelance these days, but you can start, just do some research, do some reviews, read the reviews, see what people have to say. Is Cobal a language worth learning? If there's demand, it's kind of old school that, but there's probably a lot of money still in that because a lot of companies still use old mainframes. All right. Hey, Dominican Republic. Cool. I've been there a few times. Mamma mia. Yeah, it was pretty funny. She said, Mamma mia, what are you talking about, Stefan? It was like that. I thought she was going to hit me. I would say, I was just joking. I would even say you ought to learn some back-end language because it's pretty much priority if you want to build complete apps on your own. Well, 100% for that one. Is Python any good? Oh, for sure. That's why it's #1 or #2 language in the world. It's no language is perfect, but it's very good. All right, let's go on. Okay, guys. I think that's it. It's 50 minutes in. Thanks for showing up. Links below for the Python course, 50% coupon. And yeah, we'll talk soon. I'll end with my ASMR main video so everybody can chill out and relax. Ciao.